Hi everybody. Uh, this is going to be my last video for the day until I gets into when I get to the airport 9 tonight and I gets in Toronto. But I want to introduce Lisa to my channel, and I want her to explain her story of how we got to meet and how this all came about, and her journey with me, and a little bit about herself and her story. So I'm going to turn the camera now to her, and I want you to probably give your feedback or listen to her story of how this started and how this all come about. So take your time, and here comes Annalisa.
Hey, I'm sure you've seen my face around. So this is the last leg of the journey, and I met Mike, and I know that people are wondering where I fit in this story. So I met Mike probably over 20 years ago when I dated Paul, and I never really kept in touch with Mike because Mike was on his own journey in life, just as I was.
Paul who?
Paul Reardigan. So when through the grace of God, I've never had any addiction problems or anything like that, so that I'm grateful for. But I've met a lot of addicts along my journey in life, and so anyway, it started probably 3 years ago, Mike, probably 3 years.
I'd say about 3 years ago I got back on Facebook.
When he came on Facebook, I was like listening to him, just like everybody else do, listening to his words. And at that time, I'm still in Chocolate Place. I was living in Chocolate Place. And I was always an advocate, and I was trying to get something going with the community center next to my house. It was idle, and it was, not being utilized the way that it should be. So myself and my friend Brian across the street, we tried to get a youth program going. But of course, we're taking on the government and all that stuff, and we couldn't get it. I was sending out emails, and there was no funding. So the center still remains the same with a little bit more improvement because of, I guess, of a little bit of legwork that was done. So at that time when that was going on, like Mike was coming online, and I pleaded and I tried to get him to stay on. And at that point in my life, I started a job. I went back to school and I started a job with Eastern Health. So I worked there, and I worked in blood collections, and I seen how the methadone maintenance program ran, and it was just starting to get to me. And then I ran into some problems with my son that I wasn't expected to run into at his age at 13. At 13, it was the first day of my orientation with Eastern Health. I got a call from my mom saying that she had found an oxy on her floor because my son had a sleepover. Well, I would never forget that day. I pulled over the side of the road. I threw my guts up.
How old was he?
He was 13, so he was hanging around with people that he shouldn't have been hanging around with. And it wasn't that I let him run the streets, or like I didn't teach my son morals or values or anything like that. It was just that at a young age where he was vulnerable and we were going through our own life issues, that the streets kind of like tried to take hold of him. But I watched my son at that age. I took him to the places that he needed to go. And I watched my son at the age of 13 get off the pills by himself up in his bed. And I can remember looking at him sweating, and I was thinking, is this actually what is going on with him? So I've learned a lot through that process of that part of my life, and it broke my heart that our society has come the way that it has evolved, that people out there 19, 20 years old, that you take my son underneath your wing, my son, the one that I brought into this world, and done damage in our family. So he was clean for 2 years. So last year around this time, he's been fighting like with anxiety and mental health, and just trying to figure out his place in this world and in this society. And it's my job as a mother to walk him through it. I brought him into this world, and I'll see him through it, and that was my promise to him. So this time last year, my life came to a complete stop because his anxiety was at an all-time high. He started high school, and the drugs in the high school are rampant. He's far from an angel. That's not what I'm claiming to put out there. at all. I'm far from an angel. That's not what I'm trying to state here. My thing is that so he had high anxiety going into the school, and then one day I guess it got to the point where it was that bad for him that he's seen people on Xanax, and this one day I guess it was his tipping point where he decided to try it, and I got a phone call from the school, and they walked him out of the school, and it was an image that I'll never forget. And that day on, it's been a struggle. Uh, I almost lost him a couple of times. All the things that come with addiction, I've experienced in a short time. But I believe that my journey in life with dealing with other addicts and all the things that I've dealt with in my life prepared me to save my son's life. Because as I said, I put my life at a standstill and I devoted everything to him because that's my job. That's my job as a mom. So the Xanax that are out on the streets are being they're being pressed. There's things in it. If there's any mother out there, all I'm asking is just validate your child's feelings, listen to them, give them the opportunity to come to you and not be afraid or ashamed to say that they tried something or they're battling with something, because as a mom or a dad, either or, you are their hero. You are their number one rock. You're their foundation. And I'll never let my son down because that's my job. And like I said, and I'll keep repeating it, I brought him into this world and I will see him through it. And I'm glad to say, through all of this, throughout his schooling, I've always went to the school and said, this is my son and this is our story. Every year, every single year. And if there's a teacher out there that sees my face, you'll remember me because you'll know I sat at the principal's office with guidance counselors and all of that stuff. So I'm happy to say today that Tristan followed me, and
he's clean.
He's clean.
Yay!
But throughout that, I've noticed a lot of things. Like we were at the Janeway, and there was a lot of things I had to fight to actually get him in to see a psychiatrist because it was a waiting list and all of this stuff. But I picked up that phone when he said he was ready, and I said, I need help. We are ready for help, and it's like somebody's got to listen. I was never ashamed or embarrassed or anything that went on in my life, and I'm still not. And I know throughout this process, people that know me have seen me and probably said, well, how come she's not sharing her story? Lisa didn't share her story because Lisa's story wasn't over yet. Lisa's journey ends here with Mike Williams. So when he came on there this time and I seen him, there was no way I was letting him go because I knew what kind of society we're in. I knew what way it was going, and I knew that I needed Mike. And I'm saying me as a mother and all other mothers out there or fathers that are dealing with this. I needed Mike to work with me on this because I knew people would listen to him. Like I said, I'm going to rephrase to say just a single mother. I'm not just a single mother, but to society, I am just a single mother. I've sent off emails to the government. I've sat down with Nick Whalen 3 years ago with my son about issues in our community and around our society and about our community center 3 years ago. That fell on deaf ears. So my point is that when Mike came on, like people mightn't have agreed with what he was saying or how he was trying to articulate himself, but throughout this process, I knew that Mike would grow also. And I also know that if I had money, if I had lots of money, I would have paid thousands of dollars to have someone like Mike Williams to come into my home and to share his story and to give what he has to give. I would have paid for that had I have had the money. So I'm very grateful for this journey. This journey has been amazing. Like I said, I'm happy to say that my son's doing really well. And I'm behind him every step of the way, just like the rest of my family is with him. And I'm not going to ever stop advocating for our youth or social injustice or anything else. And I will be an ear for anybody that wants to listen to anything or anybody that just wants to talk. To see this movement unfold, like Mike is, I knew our government was corrupt. And, but to see the whole, like to sit in the car, I was on the line with him the first day. It was too cold. But as I told Mike, he could just stand out there by himself. He didn't need anybody there. All he needed was himself, his voice, and his harmonica. And his, that's all. That was a big statement in itself for his story. But as he started talking and just talking and talking, I watched Mike grow tremendously in his strength, in his peace of mind, and his contentment. And I couldn't be more prouder to just look at the man that I'm looking at today taking a video. But I'm going to go back to the corruption of the government because, as my mom would say, we're oppressed people. We're oppressed people. We're a big society of single parents, of people that are on welfare, people that are suffering through mental health, drug addiction, and a stigma. So that's a big portion of who is voting in our government. So it's, and I'm putting politics in here because it's a number one factor. Because I had to fight, you have to fight in life to get where you need to go. And some people, this is the big thing about myself and Mike mostly, is that Mike was a voice for people that weren't able to speak. And that's how I found myself over the years. I tried to be a voice for people that didn't have the strength to speak. And I've also helped give people their own voice, just like Mike has done for hundreds of people in this past, 10 days? So, as I said, with the emails, you can email the government till you're blue in the face. They'll just wipe it underneath the rug and they'll do whatever they'll just wipe it aside because we are the people of the province that are stupid, that don't matter, that the government can roll and steamroll over. The government is taking child support if you're receiving a social assistance check. Like, how is that even possible? When it counts for one end of the government, when it comes to social services, they'll count that into effect. But if you're in housing, they don't count it as income. So it's just really confusing. They got you down that far that you're fighting your way out and you don't know how you're going to get out. But if people start to speak up and tell their story, and keep telling their story, and keep telling it, and not let our government roll over us anymore because we matter, our children matters, the school systems, this is the thing. You got schools up to high school students where everyone knows that is where drugs are too. You got kids being bullied, you got kids being when you walk out through the door, the school is supposed to be a safe haven for them to go and learn. It's not that way anymore. So, I don't understand why, the RNC can't get involved with they got a route, take a school, take a route, get out of your vehicle, start with going to the elementary schools, make yourself known so that if you go by McDonald Drive, where there's grade 5, 6, and 7s or whatever, and they see, oh, that's Constable Williams. And Constable Williams gets out of his car and he sees how the kids are doing and asks them how their day is just to do a run around of the school. So the next day when the child goes to school, the one that's bullying won't bully. The one that's being bullied probably won't have that knot in their stomach of getting out of school or going to school that day. Then you got the high school students that are up there thinking, that's where it starts. That's where it starts. When you're 13, 14, and 15 years old, you're going through your own head. You're in your own head space with puberty, with life, with your own personal problems that are going on in your own immediate family. And then you're placed into a high school with all kinds of students. And then you got a drug that's there. And you might go in the bathroom. Someone got a line of something there. And you're going to have, I will call it, I'm just going to use this word, I'm going to curse, a fuck it day. Some people are not strong enough to turn around and say, I'm just not gonna do that. And I was always asked, how come I never tried drugs over my life? I just chose not to. I just chose not to do that. So my thing going back to the RNC, if they were even to show their presence around the high schools and just even meet and get a lot, like interact with the students that are like up in high school, that are in their teens,
Drug dealing,
and that are drug dealing in the schools, like they'll probably think twice about leaving their drugs home or taking them to school that day. The person that's an addict will probably see something in that police officer that they've never seen before and probably go and want to have like a chat with them. So I just don't, these small little things that just kids just need to know that they're cared for, that somebody out there cares, and they're loved, and they're listened to, and they're being understood. So my big thing, that's why I came on board, because I knew his voice was powerful enough to reach not just one, not just one not just one topic with like the youth that I was just so.
So you use me. You're selfish.
Well,
you use me.
Well, you know,
You little shagger.
You got to get in where you fit in, and we fit in perfect. Mike came here, and he was as comfortable here as if it was his own home. And I told he was confused as to why. And I just told him because it was the way it was supposed to go. There was nothing planned. There was to a certain degree where I had an angle where I wanted him home. But as for like where we were going to go from here to there, this was, and I knew this was bigger than all of us put together. It was a snowball. It was spiraling. So as we were like going, it just worked out naturally. And with watching Mike down at Her Majesty's Penitentiary and taking the videos and seeing so much support and meeting people and just doing the interviews myself with the interviews that I've done, and just watch the movement outside of the penitentiary when he just started with the cleanup that was done there. It was boom, 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 boom. People were just going back and forth. Each day that he was there was prisoners being removed. There was cleaning companies going in there. There was big trucks being dropping off big containers where the bulk garbage. There was a lady out there cleaning the glass one day. And inside that institution is where, okay, that's a great place to start. Because there's more like 18, 19, 21, 22, 20, from 25 down, there's a big percentage of that's what's down to the HMP. So they're all down there and they're all fighting with mental health issues and drug addiction. The two.
90%.
90%, the two of them that are there. So like they're out here now and they're trying to do whatever in the streets, and then he ends up down there, which is like a place where that shouldn't even exist.
Did you know anything about it as bad as you did until I come? Or?
I knew some things about it. But the stories like from you and stories from like other ex-inmates that come out and stuff, like that was wow. That one of the young fellas there that I did the interview with that spoke out, I was so proud of him.
Wayne.
And a shout out to you, Wayne, because you're very articulate.
He's a smart man, very smart. Believe me.
I still got your headphones in my car. But I really appreciate that. Calvin Kenny's sister. Calvin Kenny's story is one that's touch and go, but it wasn't touch and go for us because it was the overall picture.
Exactly.
It didn't matter. It not that it didn't matter what he did or what it. But it didn't. It was the overall picture of what had happened. How the justice system had failed them. How the system had failed them. How the system is failing me. How the system has failed so many other people.
There wouldn't be a victim if there was help. Kelvin Kenny, if he had to get help, there wouldn't have been that victim.
And that, and sitting down with his sister and sitting down with like ex-sheriff's officers, seeing ex-guards there, just hearing the guards.
Teachers,
hearing the
guards.
guards saying stuff to them like don't leave, you're doing a good job. And we're living in a place where, Jesus, people you're going to work and you can't even speak up because you're part of the union. Like human right things, like things that are deplorable. You can't speak out because of a job. See, that's where I differentiate myself from that. Because I don't care what kind of a job I'm in or what kind of a title I'm in. When there's injustice done, Lisa Reardigan, I just can't deal with it. I can't. It's unacceptable to me, and I just don't. I don't tolerate it. So, what better way, or the best way to get noticed or get your word out or get your voice out there is an ex-con that's after being dead gang banging and like got all of his stories. It's been incarcerated for years. That was the man that it took. And like one of the articles that I love most is that one. No, the coward, the courage of a con and the cowardice of Justice Minister Andrew Parsons, which I had the pleasure of busting his party at the lakeside and telling him, like, calling him out with a beer in his hand the day that Mike got locked up. As I told him, you're there with a beer in your hand and you got people that are up by the HMP fighting for the most crucial issues that our province is facing, and you can't even come down to not only address Mike, but address the people that are there. Address us. The people that are voting you in, the people that got you there, and the people that can take you all out of there. So listen, this is not stopping Mike's going back. Mike needs to reboot and just process all of it, because it was a journey. It was a journey that I'll never forget and I'll take with me for the rest of my life. I've got a friendship with Mike, like we're family now. It's a bond. Not a bond in any other way of just being a bond between two people that got the same hearts and got the same direction in life with the same powerful calling, I guess, from a higher power. That's all. That's the only way that I can put it. So that's my story. I'm going to be sad to say goodbye to Mike, but he's been a handful, as you all know. But he did. He's grown a lot, and he's helped a lot of people, and I know it. I see it. I see all the messages that people, are. His mind gets overwhelmed because he's not the voodoo doctor. He's not the psychiatrist. He's just one man with a lot of stories and a lot of knowledge to give to people, but he can't solve your problems. What Mike is trying to tell you is through his story that you and anybody that's watching, along with myself, you have the power within your own self to fight for yourself, because no one can fight harder for yourself but yourself. Nobody got your back better than yourself, except your mama. But that's all I'm going to say. And anybody out there that don't like me, because there's a lot of people that don't, because I got a voice and I've never been afraid to say my opinion or say what was on my mind. And people out there that know me know this of me. They also know that I've always done stuff like this, but this is the biggest thing that I've done. And I'm so glad that Mike stuck with me and he listened and he just came down and done what he done, because like I said, I watch him on the couch and he's looking at everybody's stories. The tears are rolling down his face and he's frustrated. He don't know what to do with it all. He's trying to internalize it. He's trying to process it all. And it's hard for him. So the big message here is take what he says and just try to learn from it. And I'm just going to repeat myself. No one is going to fight for you better than yourself. So if you got mental health issues, or you have addictions, or whatever the case may be, just find it within yourself to muster up whatever strength you got to go find the help. Go reach out to the person that you trust the most that will listen, because they'll listen. You got to go find it. It's not going to come to you. Like Mike says, there's no one going to knock on your door and say, "Is you got a son in there with a drug addiction?" No. Do you need help today? Are you broke? No one's going to do that for you. You got to get out, hustle whatever way you can. If you're a hustler, you know how to hustle. Hustle for yourself in the right way. Hustle for your rights. Hustle for yourself. Hustle for your community. But just all come together. Let's just all come together and not let what we've built here just go being brushed underneath the rugs. Those liberals gotta go. When Mike was talking about the conservatives getting in, it don't matter who gets in. The government is just corrupt. But as long as the liberals gets out of there, that's all that matters. It's a start. And hopefully the new Alliance Party is able to get in so we can get people on that are fighting for the people, so that when your grandchildren are older, that we can create a better province and a better community for everybody to live in. So in saying that, thanks everybody for the support. Like I said, it's been one hell of a ride, and I wouldn't change a thing. And God bless everybody, and peace out.
So there you go. So that's the journey that me and Lisa have had since day one. So just to let you know that I really appreciate her as a person, and she's made me grow a lot. I thank her mom. I thank all my supporters, all the GoMe Fund, and I could use a couple of dollars in the Reardigan Fund for a meal at the airport, but I'm okay. Not begging for money, thank you. Going home broke. I would have had a few dollars only for I got arrested, and I had to pay the $700 for the bail. But thank you for all your support. And just like I said, just try. Look at this little medal, Mother Teresa, hope for the day. Just for today. Lay it down just for today. Tomorrow, hold on, you might get high, you might get sick or whatever. But just for today, soldiers, try not to use, try not to abuse, and just take care. So thanks everybody in Newfoundland, and God bless our motherland, Newfoundland, and Harry Hibbs. I love you. God bless your soul, Harry Hibbs.